morning, children. How are you all? Hope you're all doing fine and also following all the sessions of this unit, which is biodiversity and its conservation. So now you might have been aware of the word what is biodiversity, right? The variety of organisms which we see in our surroundings is nothing but the biodiversity. That means the life is in diverse, right? Diverse in the sense a variety of organisms, living organisms, a variety of living organisms which see around us every day. So that's what is biodiversity all about. And now this biodiversity is getting disturbed by the human activities. So now it's time for us to conserve the nature. It's time for us to protect the nature, save the nature. So as a part of that particular thing, we are going to learn what is migration today. Before going to the word migration, let me ask you a simple question. When you look at the sky in the morning and evening, what do you see? Apart from clouds, apart from the blue sky and all, we see birds flying in the air, isn't it? Now, when you see that the birds are flying in the air, so what you do is you try to note down. So you try to note down all the names of the birds or the different types of birds, at least for 6 months, right? Today you sit out on your roof and then observe what the birds which are flying in the sky today. Write the name, write the number. Tomorrow you do the same again. For 6 months you do the same kind of process again and again. So after 6 months you will get an idea that what are the birds which are flying in the air. So you can observe how many birds are going in a small number and also what kind of which birds are going in a big number. That is what you can observe when you look into the sky. And if you do this for the 6 months and all, you yourself can write a lot of variations in the bird. If you are observing like that, you might observe the same kind of birds passing day by day. But did you observe any new birds which are flying from a different region, which you have not seen any time? You might see some of the birds which you have not seen for the past 6 months. So these are birds which are completely new to your understanding. So now why these birds are moving from one place to the other place? If they are really coming in that particular time which you have not seen for the 6 months, that means they are coming from a certain place. They are traveling from a certain place. So sometimes we see these birds are flying in the groups. Sometimes we see these kind of birds flying in a small groups. Sometimes we see them traveling in a very big groups and all. There are different kinds of birds. There are some birds which make nest in our surroundings and stay in that. They will not move to any other places. Now that is their home. They will sit there, they will live there, they will reproduce there, and they will make their family over there and they will stay there. They will not move to any other place. But there are some birds, now I can say that these birds have the permanent settlements here. If you go to a forest region, now if there are some hundreds of birds which are living there and they have their own nest over there, so now they doesn't need to go to any other place, but because they have made a permanent dwelling over there. So now at the same time there are some different kinds of birds which doesn't have a proper settlement like that. They don't have a proper shelter like that. They don't have a proper nest like that. So what they do is they will try to go travel from the one place to the other place. So now what is the reason they are traveling? What are the reasons they are moving from the one place to the other place? Now the first reason might be the food. The first reason might be the food. That means the food where the food is not proper in the place where they were actually living. Maybe the food is completely exhausted over there, so that's why they are traveling from the one place to the other place. Second thing is that they might have lost their shelter, so that's why they might be traveling from the one place to the other. So basically birds will travel for the food and also the shelter, and sometimes birds might travel also to escape from the hot temperatures or very, very cold temperatures. So these birds now which are traveling from one place to the other places, maybe for the food, maybe for the shelter, maybe to save themselves from the temperature, these kind of birds are called as the migratory birds, and the process is called as the migration. Okay, so we also see several people migrating from the villages to the cities once the resources are exhausted, maybe in very small towns or maybe in villages. When the resources completely exhaust, so now they don't have any source in the village, so they travel or they move from the one place to the other where they can get the resources. So they travel from the one place to the other. We call them as migrants. Okay, we call them as migrants, and what they are doing is the migration. Okay, they come, so many people from the villages, they come to the cities for the jobs. They migrate, right? They will come, their whole family will travel from the villages. They will completely relocate themselves into a new place. This is called as the migration. So the same kind of migration we can also see in the birds. They travel from the one place to the other. They leave their habitat and they travel to the other place. What are the reasons? There are three reasons they travel for. One is the food. Okay, second one is the shelter, and third one is to escape from the temperature. So these are the three things for which the birds will travel from one place to the other place, and now these birds we call them as the migratory birds. Okay, now so during rainy season, most of the birds, they travel from the other places to the Pulicat Lake and also to the Kolleru Lake, which are in the Andhra Pradesh. So they travel from different places and they come here. They make their nests here. They also make their nests in the surrounding villages. So now the people who are in these villages, they worship them as a divine ones. They worship them as they feel that these birds are really holy, and they will they will worship them. Okay, now these birds which are coming to the Andhra Pradesh from a different area and making the nest here, now there's a problem now, because we are cutting down the trees. Deforestation is on a good swing. So here now, even if these birds come also, now you cannot they cannot have their nests. They cannot live on they cannot build their nests on the trees because the trees are not there. Okay, and also so many people, they started hunting these birds. So now the number of the birds which come to these lakes, now they started decreasing. Okay, so that is how even birds also, they will migrate from the one place to the other for the food, for the shelter, to escape the temperature. In the same way, there are some other birds which are called as the Siberian cranes. So these Siberian cranes are the cranes which belong to the Russia. They look very, very beautiful, and they travel all the way from Russia to India, to our lakes, and they will stay here for a long time. Okay, so the Siberian cranes, to escape the winter, that is what we have already discussed, right? Temperature, to escape the winter and also to escape the food shortage in the winter season, they travel all the way long from Russia and they come to India. So these birds are also the migratory birds, because they migrate, and when the winter season is finished there, again they travel back to their own places. So that is how different birds they travel from one place to the other, and these birds are what they are called as migratory birds, and the process called as migration. Okay, children, so this is about the migratory birds, and if you want to know more about the migratory birds, if you want to know more about why they migrate, what are the reasons behind their migration, you can make it as a project work. Okay, you can take it as a project work and write the different birds which travel from different countries to India. Okay, and also the birds which travel from one region to the other region in India. Okay, and what are the reasons behind that, and what birds are those. Okay, you can collect some nice pictures, and you yourself can make a beautiful project work and a presentation, and you can present in the class. Okay, children, so that is how we come to the end of the migration process. Okay, and now we are going to study one more topic, which is the recycling of the paper. So now the topic is recycling of the paper. So a student, engineering student, he has written examination. When the examination papers are given, okay, so he has written a heading over there. You know what he has written? Let me write and show it to you. So this is what he has written in his paper. Please stop examinations, save paper. Please stop examinations, save paper. Right now, this looks like a satire, looks like a comedy line, but if you go deep into that, there is a very good meaning, because we are cutting down lot of trees to make papers so that people can write the examinations and people can make their write their notes, okay, for fair notes, for classworks and homeworks, and okay, to take down the rough notes and all whatnot. Several books are being used by the children. So all these books are nothing but the extract of the trees. So if you stop the examination, you can save very huge amount of trees. That is what the child's intention is, or the student's intention is. So now, if you really take this into consideration, you might be astonished, you might be surprised to hear that, to make a ton of paper, what is a ton? 1,000 kgs, right? To make 1,000 kgs of paper, how many trees are cut? 17 hugely grown trees are cut. What's the purpose now? To make a ton of paper, how many trees are being cut? 17 hugely grown trees are cut down. And just assume these are the books, right, which we used. We scribbled something on that, we throw the paper, we make some rockets with that, okay, we threw in the dustbin, we waste the papers, right, we clean the benches with that, whatnot. You do several things in your class with these papers. Now all these papers, they are made out of the trees, and all these papers, they are not coming as it's not that easy. You have to cut down the very big trees to get this papers. So now it's very important to know that these are the trees which are a part of biodiversity. If you cut down the trees, there will be a huge problem for the nature itself. So you all know very well about the global warming, okay, you all know about the soil pollution. So if you know all these things, now we should also know that we should not cut the trees. We should not cut down the trees. Just assume now how many children are there in the whole world, and how many papers do they really need. Just assume how many trees are being cut every day to make papers, to make the books, to textbooks, notebooks and whatnot. Several trees are being cut every day. Using more paper involves cutting down of the more trees, and not only that, but also usage of many chemicals, some harmful chemicals. And whatever the paper you take, you can recycle it at least 5 to 7 times. That means the book which you are using now, it can be recycled again and again. It can be made into a paper. Like that, you can make it 7 times. Isn't it wonderful to hear that? Isn't it? Yeah, it's really wonderful to hear that. So there is a process, right? So there's a project work where you ought to go ahead with the project where you will make a recycle of the paper. Right. So here now this making of the paper is in a project work for you. So here what you have to do is you have to collect some material, right? Plastic tubs, wooden spoons, water, clean cotton clothes, and old newspapers, widescreen, measuring curve, plastic warp, okay, blender, some heavy books, some kind of roller. All these are the different things which are used to make the paper, right? To recycle the paper. Now just assume that you have a book which is completely written and that is now a kind of rough book. So what you can do is you can take the book and we can make it into fine pieces, and then you put it into the tub and leave it for the maybe for a day, so that the paper completely becomes soft, okay, and then take this paper and put it in the blender and make it into a fine paste. And after making the fine paste, put this complete material into a tub, okay, take the complete pulp which you have made into a tub, and then you take some flat wooden proof surface like thing, okay, and what you can do is you can take this pulp on the screen, and then make sure that you remove all the water from that. Press in such a way that the water will be removed. Okay, and then put a cardboard, something like that, on this model, and then put some heavy books on that. Okay, and leave it for a day or maybe 1 or 2 days, so that all the water comes out and that will start becoming dry. So if you want that very immediately, you can use your hair dryer also. You can dry it and then that paper will be ready. It will not be the same paper which you have used, right? But it can be used as a chart paper. Right now you can use it to make some models, some greeting cards and whatnot. So all these things now, like, you can make out from this paper. So that is how this paper is really useful to everyone.
Here, let us do a project work to make papers by recycling waste newspapers. To make recycled papers from waste newspapers. The materials that are required for recycling of papers are 2 plastic tubs, wooden spoon, water, clean cotton cloths, old newspapers, measuring cup, plastic wrap, blender, bricks, iron box, edible colors, mold, decal. Take waste newspaper and cut it into strips. Next, soak the newspaper strips in a tub full of water for 1 day. Then add 2 cups of soaked papers and 6 cups of water to a blender. Blend the mixture well until it turns into a pulp, runny oatmeal. Next, take a clean tub and fill the tub with 1/4 of the blended paper pulp. Now take a mold and decal. Hold the mold and decal firmly together with decal at the uppermost and screen in between. Decal is a frame without the screen. Dip into the tub and scoop up pulp. Wipe out the pulp from all the sides. Now carefully separate the decal from mold. Next, place a piece of cloth on the wet pulp. Now, place the mold upside down with wet pulp on the underside on a folded sheet of newspaper. Next, squeeze the water with the help of cloth. Slowly separate mold from the wet pulp. If paper still sticks to the mold, this means you need to remove more water with the sponge. Next, place another piece of cloth on top of the wet pulp and cover the cloth with a plastic wrap. Now stack the bricks on the plastic wrap. After several hours, remove the bricks and the cloth from the top of the wet paper and allow the paper to dry for 24 hours. You can even use a hair dryer to make the wet paper dry quickly. By adding a few drops of edible colors to the pulp, we get colorful papers. Iron the paper and cut it into the required size and shape. By using this recycled paper, beautiful greeting cards, bags, file covers can be made.
So now not only this, okay, and when you cut the tree and all, know what comes out, the sawdust comes out, isn't it? So when the sawdust comes out, all this sawdust can be stored, and again it can be made into pulp. Okay, it can be made into some layers, and when they are pressed together, they become a cardboard, and now that cardboard is being used in several houses instead of the walls. Okay, they are dividing their rooms using this cardboard. So you need not cut the trees. You can use the sawdust itself. You can use the dust of the when you cut the branches or something. Whatever the dust comes out, that dust itself you can make the cardboards which you can use in the house building. Okay, building of the houses. So now what we can learn from this lesson is, now each and every animal which are living on the earth, each and every plant which is living on the earth, okay, whatever the biodiversity is around us. In other words, what you can say is, whatever the biodiversity which is around us, each and every animal, each and every organism, each and every plant has a right to live on this earth. As we have the right, we feel that we have so many rights, right? So we have the right for education, we have the right for treatment, okay, whatnot, several rights. We have right for vote. In the same way, each and every organism has a right to live, right to survive. Okay, now what is our duty is we have to give the chance for each and every organism to survive, to live. Okay, live and let's live should be our motto. Okay, so what is the reason behind this? Because each and every organism is connected with one another. There are food chains, there are food webs where every organism is connected with the other organism. So here what we can learn here is the food chain is disturbed. If the food web is disturbed, the whole web will be disturbed. Just you take the spider web. If you disturb one web, one thread from that, the whole web will be disturbed. In the same way, if one animal is extinct, if one plant group species is extinct, then that will show the effect, influence on all the other animals, isn't it? So now we are talking about the endangered animals, we are talking about the extinct animals, and one day will come where we also talk about the human beings who are in the endangered list. If all the plants and animals, if they come under the extinction, definitely we will also become extinct one day. So that's why to protect ourselves, we have to protect our environment. If you protect our environment, okay, if you take it as a responsibility, definitely what you can do is you can protect the nature as well as the human race. Is important is conserving the biodiversity is very important. So now definitely what the humans need is the wood. So deforestation has become really must, but at the same time go with the reforestation. Instead of cutting down the forest and all, you use the alternate methods. If you have to cut a tree and all, plant 2 or 3 trees in that area, isn't it? So it's always good to go ahead with the reforestation, and also maximum make sure that you will not go ahead with the deforestation. Nature is there for the human need. It's not there for the human greed. Okay, it's not there for our greediness. It's not there for our selfishness. Nature is not there for our selfishness. Okay, it is only for our need. So it is only for our benefits. So what we have to do is we have to protect our nature which is around us. We have to protect the animals. We have to protect the plants. Okay, because the last line I would like to quote again: every animal has a right to live, right to survive, right to live on the earth and survive. So we should give the chance to them, and our motto should be live and let's live. Okay guys, so that's how we end the complete chapter, and see you tomorrow with a new chapter. Until then, have a great day. See you all.